Assalamu alaikum, peace and blessings be on all of you. I'm back after a 5-day spiritual retreat from home, going into Itikaaf, which is where you're confined in a mosque or a masjid for however many days you can do. Ideally, you've got to do 10 days. I only managed to do 5, but really, what you're doing there is just literally cutting away everything away from your worldly life, and just taking part in lots of spiritual activities when you're there, like reading Quran, reflecting on those translations, doing lots of prayers, lots and lots and lots of spiritual activities that went there. I literally came back about a couple of hours ago. You know what? The funny thing was, the last time I shot a video, I had a blocked nose and a hay fever and all these sorts of things. And when I got there was no problems. I had no problems whatsoever. Everything's all clear. As soon as I get back home, guess what? I start sneezing again, and I got a bit of a runny nose, blocked nose, all those sorts of things. But I can't really be complaining. It's been a good time, a good 5 days. So really, what are my reflections and what are my learnings from this experience? So it's been a very personal, a very spiritual journey for me. Lots of reflections, lots of learnings, and so I was obviously away from home, away from this worldly life, because that's the whole point of it, is being, taking part in spiritual activities, staying away from everything, that's distracting your life, social media and all those sorts of things. And I'll go into that in a second, by the way. And so, yeah, for me, it went really well. And, it was a bit of it took me out of my comfort zone, because all of a sudden you're away from everything and you're just confined in a masjid, doing all sorts of virtuous activities. And so, I wasn't quite used to that in the rest of Ramadan, but it went really good because I read lots of Quran. I did lots of prayers, also reflected on the meanings of the Quran. So it was a very productive time. So I'll go straight into the learnings and reflections for me. Firstly, it was difficult with social media, because I'm on social media regularly, especially Facebook and YouTube. I'm not going to lie to you, I did go on Facebook a few times here and there. I know I shouldn't, but I did. I went on there quickly, to be honest with you. I wasn't there for long. Thankfully, I didn't get access to YouTube, which was really good. For some reason, my YouTube account on my phone was offline, so which was in a blessing, a good thing. That means I wasn't on YouTube at all, which was really good. What else? What else are the main things I've kind of learned from my experience there? It was an experience where I could just really let go of this world, because this world is so temporary. We get sucked into this daily life, this daily routine of doing things, and going about doing our daily tasks and work and home, all these sorts of things. So I was away from it, and so it was really good because I was able to reflect on the things that are really important to me, my purpose of life. My purpose of life, I managed to kind of rediscover that, And so for me, it really is all about connecting to that higher purpose. And my higher purpose is Allah, is God. And one day I will go back to Him. This is what I believe. And so, when you're in this normal daily routine of doing your everyday things, you kind of, although you're there and you're, reflecting on God, you just get distracted. And that's the main thing, is you get distracted. Even when you're doing your prayers, you're distracted by doing your daily tasks, all those sorts of things. So really for me, it was just truly appreciating that this world really, really is temporary. We're only here for a short period of time. And so I remember reading this verse of the Quran, and this is what really struck me the most. And on this, and I think you can learn from this, is this: the worldly life is like rain that pours onto the earth, and as a result you get vegetation growing out of that. We as humans consume that, cattle consume that, and so we become so comfortable that we have this abundance of vegetation, these things that we eat. Okay, but all of a sudden it turns into yellow stubble. For me, this was profoundly impactful, because it really does show that things, this enjoyment that we have on this earth, thinking that we have everything, when really it could end. It could end. You know, these pleasures these worldly pleasures, these things that we take for granted, that we really, really enjoy, it could really just end at a moment's notice. So for me, that verse was just extremely powerful, to realize that, you know, that it is temporary, and we get just so busy in the everyday life. And so I don't think we actually realize that. And so that for me was definitely a very big learning. The second thing I would say that I've learned from this is really about self-control whilst I was in the mosque. You know, you realize that when you fast, you get to realize that how much food we actually consume, and we actually consume more than we need to. And really, we need food to just survive, really. I'm not saying that we can't enjoy the good foods, but we need to really be careful of how much we're eating. We don't need to consume that much food. And I realised that when I was in the mosque, that, you know, I only needed the basic foods, and I didn't need to overindulge. And it was really important, especially that I was in a mosque, that I had to minimize what I was eating, and so that I could basically focus on, you know, my prayers and the things that really, really matter the most whilst you're in a mosque. So for me, that was, you know, that was really, really key. And the other thing that was really important is intention of why you're doing all this. This is extremely, extremely important. And so for me as a Muslim, that's very important, because there's two things that I realized out of this, two reflections, is that out of this thing about having intention, is that we've got to question ourselves why we're doing this. Like, I'm a very regular charity giver. I give charity on a very regular basis, and so for me it makes me feel really good that I'm doing that. And of course, deep down subconsciously, it is God that the reason why I'm doing this, but it's to really understand the intention of why you're doing it. So why are you giving it charity? For me, it's connecting to that higher purpose, and it's connecting to Allah. And that's really, really important. I have to constantly remind myself of this, of why I'm doing that. And so that's really, really important. And the other thing that was important out of this thing that I'm talking about, intention, is that a lot of people, when they see me, they're like, "Oh, mashallah," which is all praise be to God that you're doing this spiritual retreat. And so people are congratulating you, or praising you, and all these sorts of things. And then within that, you kind of lose the intention of why you're doing it. You know, then you think, "Oh yeah," you know, you kind of think to yourself, "Oh yes, I'm doing this, and people can, you know, praising me and all these sorts of things. You know, I'm a good person." But really, this is very, very, you know, if your thinking is starting to shift this way, for me as a Muslim, it's very, very sinful, because we're doing this all for the sake of Allah, for God. And so I had to keep reminding myself of this thing called intention. And that was really, really, really important. So it's made me realize that, you know, with my business and how I want to grow it, there's so many things that I want to do. Like, of course, I'm not going to lie to you, I do want to be wealthy, but the things that I want to do with this wealth, it's not for materialistic gains, although of course I will be using it for some materialistic pleasures. But the main reason why I want to become wealthy is because there's so much I could do with this money. There's so many people I could help, maybe build an orphanage, going out giving lots and lots and lots of charity, you know. And so, you know, I really want to do something very meaningful with my business, and I want to do it for this world, and I want to do it for the hereafter. And that's what this spiritual retreat has really helped me to understand, you know, to help me to connect with my purpose, my higher purpose. So really, that's what it's all been about, really. And yeah, it's just been a very enriching experience, very spiritual experience, and I really appreciate it. And I really, you know, I really encourage all of you to do the same in one point in your life, to do this, because it really, really will allow you to become more humble, and allow you to spiritually connect to your higher purpose. And it's just a fantastic experience for me. I know it's a bit of a long video, I do apologise, but there were so many gems and so many reflections I've had from that, and I just thought that it is something for you to think about. So I will leave it at that, and I hope you're enjoying your fast. I hope your fast has been very good. For me, it's been really good, and yes, I will definitely speak to you soon, inshallah. And until then, enjoy the rest of your day and speak to you tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum.